Hey everyone, welcome to the Sun-Gazette Sports Talk. I'm your sports editor, John Gerardi, alongside the doctor, Chris Masse. Wrapping up the season that was for area football. Early exit for us, if you will, this year. We didn't have any district champions for the first time since 2012. Quite a while since that's happened for us, obviously. So let's talk about kind of last week, kind of some of our area teams. You know, Jersey Shore, they went to Shamokin, lost that one. You know, I think a lot of people are expecting that to be another close game between those two. You know, they've had some good matchups over the years. This year, the regular season, 1-point overtime loss for the Bulldogs. But, you know, they go into Shamokin, they just get steamrolled by the Indians. Just a very un-Bulldog-like performance this past week.
Yeah, I mean, they turned the ball over 8 times, so, I mean, that's pretty much a death blow there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're you know, unless you're Joe Montana in the 81 Niners, and they turned the ball over 6 times against the Cowboys and still won with the catch because he was the GOAT. He was until Tom Brady came along. But I digress. I mean, Jersey Shore goes into that a little bit of an underdog. So, you've got to play a great game to have a chance to beat Shamokin. And unfortunately for them, it was the opposite. And then they lose their quarterback, Nolan Pauling, who was off to a good start in the game. And that was a devastating loss, losing him. They were already they've battled through a lot of injuries this year. I think they've lost probably about 8 starters since the preseason. And yeah, just picked a bad time to play one of their worst games, but a lot to be. I mean, they overcame a lot this year. Like, they were pretty young. Like I mentioned, the injuries. I think they still did a lot of good things this year and have a good nucleus coming back. So I think they'll use this as fuel going forward.
And for Shamokin, Colin Steinhardt, I believe it was that
yeah.
5 interceptions on defense, which is just unbelievable.
Crazy.
And the crazy thing is too, that's not the state record either, which you think some guy from the 40s has it with 7, which is also impressive because it's not like they were airing it out
back when
then.
they were throwing it about 4 times a game.
Exactly. So so it's a tough one for Jersey Shore there, and then Williamsport goes on the road against Wilkes-Barre, and they beat them 2 weeks prior. They go in and another just tough lopsided loss for them there. I know Tevin Williams struggled to kind of move the ball through the air, and it just seemed like nothing could kind of go right offensively for the Millionaires.
Yeah, they got kind of dominated up front on both sides of the ball, and I think what Tevin Williams does so well is he extends plays. Even when guys rush him, he has the ability to get out of the pocket and make plays either with his arm or his legs. And I think Wilkes-Barre learned from their experience just 2 weeks earlier when Williamsport beat them 28-21. Williams had a huge game, and they pretty much weren't going to let him beat them by improvisation and making plays outside the pocket. They had spies on him all the time, so he couldn't extend plays the way he usually does, and that really limited their offense because they just couldn't get any running game going with the way Wilkes-Barre's offensive line was charging through. And on the other side of the ball, Jake Howe for Wilkes-Barre's a great quarterback. He became the Wyoming Valley Conference's all-time leading passer, and he just kind of carved them up. And again, just like Jersey Shore, Williamsport only had 2 senior starters this year, so they did some good things. They had probably one of the state's toughest schedules, and at one point they played teams, I think weeks 7 through 9, who right now are 33-0 or 32-1. Berwick finally lost. So Tevin Williams, only a sophomore, did an awesome job at quarterback this year. They got a lot of other young playmakers on both sides of the ball coming back. So again, I think they'll remember that feeling and try to use that to spark them going forward. And I think good things are ahead for them.
I was going to say, Tevin, I covered a handful of Williamsport games this year, and he just impressed me, like you said, with his ability to just – there's so many times where the pocket just collapses. He kind of rolls out, scrambles, just kind of keeps it going enough. And there's a lot of times he's moving around just so someone can get open and hit him. And for a sophomore to be doing that, Williamsport has to be happy, looking ahead for the next 2 years that he's only going to get better and have a quarterback like that who's a dynamic playmaker.
Yeah. And he practiced all off season at wide receiver because Zion Hughes was projected to be the quarterback, and unfortunately he tore his ACL playing basketball in the preseason. And so Williams steps in there. He played a little bit at quarterback last year, and just shines a light on everything that he did this year. I think his maturity, his poise in those situations that you mentioned. So, hopefully Zion Hughes is back next year, and then do they keep Tevin Williams at quarterback, or do they go with Zion Hughes? Either way, it's a good dilemma to have because Zion Hughes is a great athlete too. So either way, if both those guys are back, you're going to have a good quarterback and a good wide receiver to mesh with the other playmakers that they have. So a lot to be excited about. And Williams was one of the more fun athletes to watch this season. And I think we'll be saying that during basketball season too.
Yeah. And talking about, fans having stuff to be excited about, if you're a Montgomery fan, you have to be pretty excited for the future there. I mean, they had just an unbelievable season this year, come up just shy, but there was a lot of people who thought Line Mountain would kind of steamroll Montgomery. Montgomery goes in, it's I think 14-14 at the half, and they only lose
7-7 at the half.
7-7 at the half.
14 in the fourth.
Yeah, and they only lose by a touchdown. If you're that has to give a lot of the players coming back next year a lot of confidence and momentum going into next season.
Definitely, they got a taste of it though. That's pretty much as close. They've never won a district title, and this is probably, in terms of the margin, about as close as Montgomery's ever gotten to it. And that's a loaded Line Mountain team that, they've got a tough one against Lackawanna Trail tomorrow, but Line Mountain's the kind of team that could make a run in states, and Montgomery was right there with them, and, they had their chances. They got stopped at the 2-yard line after a 17-play drive in the second quarter, but the fact that they were in that game all the way till the end, I think that's a great sign for them. I was one of those people that as great as Montgomery has played this year, I just thought Line Mountain was going to be on a different level, and they weren't. I think Montgomery kind of made a statement to the state as much. I think the district already knew how good they were, but I think this was a message to the rest of the state that this is a darn good football team, and they lose some great seniors, but they have a really good foundation in place. And like I said, they have the taste now. They took another step. They went to the semis last year. Now went to the championship this year. And I think they'll be tough to beat next year if they can stay healthy.
I think Joel Knoble has done a great job too as a coach. Kind of, I don't want to say changing the culture, but to a degree changing that culture, because it's not like Montgomery's been known as a 7, 8, 9 win consistent program. So he's got them 9-1, I believe, in the regular season, goes in. So he's done a great job there at Montgomery, getting them kind of where they want to be and on that right direction.
Yeah, they believe. I said to somebody going into the Line Mountain game, I said, I don't know how it's going to go, but I love their mindset going into it, because I knew they truly believed that they were going to win that game. And that's what you need. And I don't think that was the way at Montgomery in the past. I think, like a lot of teams or programs that have struggled in the past, they were hoping things didn't go wrong in the past, and this team believed they were going to go out there and win. I think they believed that they could win a state title, and who knows, maybe one or two plays go different against Line Mountain, maybe they would have made a run. But it started with Corey Tyson, the previous coach last year, going from 1-9 to 7-4. And like you said, give Joel Knoble a ton of credit, because he kind of walked into a hornet's nest with the way things played out with Corey Tice, and there were a lot of unhappy people that he was not brought back, and he came in and they embraced him, and he brought in the wing tee offense, and I just think he brought the winning mentality from Southern Columbia, where he was an assistant, and got these kids to buy in. And I think this was a great start for them, but I don't think it was the end point. I think they're going to keep going up from here.
Montoursville, lost to Mifflinburg in the district final for AAA. A solid season again from Montoursville, and they had a fun offense too with Christian Banks, Elijah Ack. Just they were able to do a lot of things offensively that was fun to watch.
Yeah, Banks is a bruiser with speed, and Hayden Harvey, he couldn't run the ball. They just played him on defense in the playoffs because he had a knee injury. He was still gutting it out on defense, but he ran for over 700 yards, and Banks over 1,300, and Ack had over 1,000 passing. So, they could beat you a lot of different ways, and they overcame a lot too. They had a lot of injuries. Banks was playing hurt. He came. I wrote a story about him last week about his valiant performance against Mount Carmel. That was probably the game of the year. I think it was the game of the year in this area. Triple overtime win over Mount Carmel. So they did a lot of good things. They won 3 more games than they did the previous year for a second straight year. They went to their first final since 21. Most wins in a season since 2019. And they lose a lot of decorated seniors, Banks being one of them, Kingston Fisher, Noah Rakestraw, Hunter Schaefer, guys. I'm not going to list them all, but a lot of good players.
Yeah.
But they have a good foundation in place. You know, X a sophomore, Jay Hausnick's a sophomore, Braden Burkett's a sophomore, Harvey's coming back. So, again, getting that championship experience, I think, is huge for them, and it opens their eyes, I think, about what's possible if they can keep kind of building off the example the seniors set with their work ethic in the offseason.
Mm. And I mean, obviously we don't cover Troy or Southern, but they're clashing this week.
That's going to be a barn burn.
I was going to say I feel like that those two offenses and those two teams, that's your type of game. Going in that one.
That could be. Because Troy Warrior Run was 48-34, and I would have had a ball there. Because in Warrior Run, most of it's were passing, and Southern doesn't throw the ball a whole lot. But I think if teams are going to beat Troy, that might be the way to do it. And Southern, it's not that Southern can't throw the ball; they just usually don't have to. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that could be a shootout. That's going to be fun, and I think whoever wins that has a really good shot to win it. I mean, they're the last two state champions. Yeah, Southern won 7 in a row, and then Troy won it last year, and that's going to be fun. I think it's going to be like 35-28, something like that. I'm going with Southern, but I won't be surprised if Troy wins, and I think fans will get their money's worth. And I'm trying to talk my daughter to go into a Southern Columbia Troy game with me, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I'll have to try to watch it on TV.
Doesn't want to make that trip too. Is that at Troy or is it Catawissa?
It's at Catawissa at Southern. I said I'd buy her a hot dog, or, whatever. The whole concession stand's open. Whatever you want. I just want to see the game. Yeah. Hot dogs are expensive.
That is true.
But I'll get her pierogies, whatever they have down. I think they have pierogies at Southern, so whatever she wants.
That is a coal region thing down there, the pierogies.
Yeah. They are good.
Yeah. This past week, you had your kind of wrap-up column for the season about 10 kind of moments, storyline type thing. And, one thing, let's talk, Jaleel Coates this year for Loyalsock, he enters as a receiver. Due to some injuries, they got to move him to running back where he played previously, I believe, at the junior high.
So,
yeah.
And even his first 2 years, I think, freshman and sophomore.
And then just, it looks like he's meant to be there, leads them, just as an outstanding – the games I covered, he had some outstanding games. I believe he had 7 straight 100-yard games.
Yeah.
Just
6 straight, I think. 7 overall.
Yeah, just outstanding – just versatility for him to be able to just step into that position, know when they needed something, and just kind of take it and run with it, literally.
Yeah, might have saved their season, him stepping in there and doing it, because they were 0-2 when he took it, when Caden Sones was injured and Coates moved into the backfield, and their offense just took off from there. Mm-hmm. And like you said, 6 straight 100-yard games to open up with. He had 7 out of the only ones he didn't go for 100 against were Shamokin and Montoursville, and those are pretty good teams. And that was more, I think, the games Loyalsock was behind early, and I think they had to start throwing more than they usually do, or who knows how many, maybe he would have in those games. But yeah, he looked like a natural. That's what's impressive. He practiced really hard at wide receiver all off season. Mm-hmm. Justin Van Fleet loved his work ethic, and said in the preseason he couldn't wait to see what he does at wide receiver this year. And all of a sudden you got to go back into the backfield, and he looked great. Like I saw him a few times, and his cutting ability, his vision, his speed, his endurance. Dude carried the ball 47 times against Danville, and he's playing both ways. And Van Fleet said he asked him at halftime, we're not going to give you the ball as much in the second half, and he said, why? So I wish I had that kind of energy and toughness that Jaleel Coates had. He 47 for 205 that night. They won the game, and I think he had 3 or 4 other games where he carried over 30 times. So you got to give him his props and commend him for what he did this year, stepping into that spot and helping Sock get to the playoffs for a 14th straight year. Mm-hmm. And
I think you touched on a little bit too with Williamsport, kind of in your. I believe that was also in your comment about this. The schedule they had this year was just. I don't think any area team had a more brutal schedule than Williamsport towards the end, the second half of their schedule. But I feel, talking to Pearson after games, Coach Mike Pearson, he was saying, we're a 6A school. If you want to be competing late in the year, you need to be able to handle these teams, to beat these teams. So I think he did a good job kind of preparing them like, hey, if you want to be at a high level at Williamsport, this is what you gotta. This is who you have to beat and compete against.
Yeah, and I think it helped them. It helped them at the end last year when they did win districts, and it paid dividends in week 10. They went to Wilkes-Barre and beat them, and then beat Scranton in the district semifinals. So I think the fact that they got through that without too many injuries, iron sharpens iron, and I think they got stronger, even though the results didn't show it. It made them a better team and helped them get to another district final. And, yeah, I mean, I don't think games are lost in the offseason, or games aren't won in the offseason, but they can be lost. And I think it's another lesson to them that that's the level we want to be at. So this is what we have to do in the offseason to keep getting better, to get to that level where we can compete better in those games, and then – build on that in the playoffs and try to get back to winning the district title and maybe doing something in the States.
Yeah, exactly. And since, we're talking about the fall, it's kind of let's shift a little bit to soccer with Muncie girls. They had unbelievable year this year, won 20 games, which is the most they've ever won in a single season. Ella Nagel gets all state, first Muncie player to do that. They win their first district championship, get to the state semis, which is Coach Jason Gresham. That's the first Muncie girls team ever in school history to get to a state semifinal, which is just impressive. I mean, Jason Gresham has done just an unbelievable job there, just changing things at Muncie to get the girls soccer program now to where they're one of the teams to beat now, not just a team that kind of sneaks into the playoffs once in a while.
Yeah, that dude can coach. We've seen what he's done with the boys basketball program there, turning them into a perennial district title contender. And what he's done with the girls soccer program's amazing. And he's kind of maybe a younger version of a Craig Weaver in the area. Guy, he can just coach whatever he's going to coach. He can coach it well and get the most out of his players. And that was impressive to see them do that. And I remember watching the Nagels. Emily, did Emily graduate last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago,
Yep.
Emily, Ella, and Ava. My daughter played with the two older ones, and it's kind of crazy to think that Ella's graduating now, so it's kind of hard to believe that they're all doing what they're doing at that level, and they're that old now. That's why the gray hair keeps getting grayer.
I got some gray here in the beard, but thankfully up here it's still brown.
But yeah, that was a heck of a run. That says a lot that Muncie's had some great girls teams in different sports over the years. So for them to kind of be the best ever in terms of the furthest run ever, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and Gress was telling me that when he coached the boys team, and then there's some things he had to go and move, and then they moved him to the girls team, and he said he told AD Kurt Chelsea, give me 3 years, we'll be in the district playoffs. And this was them coming off of 6-win seasons. And he said, Kurt Chelsea kind of just chuckled a little bit, like, okay. And sure enough, now, he's there. I think this is his 5th or 6th season now coaching, or something like that. State semifinals. I mean, you got to give him credit, just outstanding coaching ability on his end. Like you said, no matter what, boys basketball, soccer, he just gets the best out of his team.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's he's a teacher, and he's going. I don't as of last. I forget at what stage he was at, but I think he's going for his PhD in some. I forget what it was in, but he's burning all ends of that candle, and to be pushing his teams to the heights they've gotten. That's pretty impressive. Again, like I said with Julio Coates, I wish. Give me some of that energy that Jason Gresham has,
exactly,
and I would be give me half of it, and I would be happy.
And then last thing, Lewisburg boys are playing in the state championship tomorrow for boys soccer. And I was looking at my notes. This is the 11th straight senior class at Lewisburg that has experienced the state championship, which is just an absurd run of just greatness there at Lewisburg.
Yeah,
and Coach Ben Kettlewell, he's been there since 2012 as a volunteer, 2013 as a co-head coach, and he has 262, I believe it is, career wins as a co-coach or head coach. It's just crazy that the level of excellence that program has.
Yeah, I mean.
They're basically they're the Southern of soccer, if you will.
That's why I forgot. I was gonna when you mentioned Kettlewell's all his wins, I forgot that Jim Roth got a 600th win last week. Which is, I don't know how you do that in football.
Yeah, that's just with only 10 regular season.
That just defies logic. But anyway, I mean that's a good analogy. That's who Lewisburg is. They're the Southern of boys soccer, and I think if they don't make it's almost not news that when they make the state final anymore. It's news when they don't.
Exactly.
That's how good they've been. And I saw the game-winning goal against Faith Christian, and that was unbelievable.
Yeah, from like 48 yards out.
What a way to win, and that's making it's hard to make your mark in Lewisburg with all the success they've had, but this team's doing a good job of it.
Yep. All right, well, that'll do it then for us.
Well, one more thing, and I don't want to forget. This year, this is no surprise, but yours truly won the picks competition again. This is 8 straight years. I think it's, I don't know, probably like 20 overall. But I lulled Garrett Carr into a false sense of security. He thought he was going to win. I was down 10 at midseason. Like, oh, how's he?
I think it was even past midseason you were down.
It might have been. How's he going to come back? Hey, you can never underestimate the heart of a champion. You're going to have to kill me to get rid of me. I won't go away. So that 10-game deficit ends up with an 11-game margin of victory.
It's truly amazing.
Yeah, I'm putting the banners up downstairs like the Boston Garden.
We should hang picks banners.
They keep coming. They keep coming after the title belt. You can't get it. I'm not giving it up. I'm the GOAT.
All right, and with that, we will bid you a farewell.